Okay, we're going to try another audition. It's a beautiful day outside here today. We're going to try it outside. Got a couple things I want to work on with this one. On the line at the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you boys, I was terrified. I'm not going to lie to you boys, I was terrified. I was terrified. Add that in, and then it's, I don't know if it was divine intervention or the kinship of all living things. Make sure that's on the all living things. Divine intervention or the kinship of all living things. Then a couple lines I always seem to mess up right after, as I watched him, or right after the let out a great bellow. It's as I watched him struggling. I always leave out the as I watched him struggling. So it's as I watched him struggling, I could tell something was obstructing his breathing. And then there at the end, right after the tears were streaming down both our faces, I'd never seen anyone quite so beautiful. It was then I decided to tell her I was not a marine biologist. So I always seem to stumble on a couple of those lines, so we're going to try to get those right. Not going to lie to you, I was terrified. I was terrified. All living things. Divine intervention, all living things. Okay, here we go. So I started to walk out into the water. I'm not going to lie to you boys, I was terrified. So I pressed on, and as I made my way past the breakers, a strange calm came over me. I don't know if it was divine intervention or the kinship of all living things. I'll tell you, Jerry, at that moment, I was a marine biologist. The sea was angry that day, my friends. Like an old man trying to send back soup at a deli. I got about 50 feet out, and suddenly the great beast appeared before me. I tell you, he was 10 stories high if he was a foot. As if sensing my presence, he let out a great bellow, and I said, "Easy, big fella." As I watched him struggling, I could tell something was obstructing his breathing. From where I was standing, I could look right into the eyes of the great fish, or mammal, whatever. And suddenly, a huge tidal wave lifted me and tossed me like a cork, and I found myself right on top of him, face to face with the blowhole. I could barely see because the waves were crashing down on me, but I knew something was there. I reached in, I felt around, and I pulled out the obstruction. Tell you, Jerry, they were all over me. The crowd went wild. It's just like Rocky 1. Diane came up to me, she threw her arms around me, kissed me. Tears were streaming down both of our faces. I'd never seen anyone quite so beautiful. It was at that moment I decided to tell her that I was not a marine biologist. She told me to go to hell, and I took the bus home.